flew by in a flurry of personal and professional creativity and effort. I covered tech and business for Reuters and then New York's public radio station, WNYC. I wrote my first book, A Guide to Making Video for Nonprofits and Businesses, and welcomed my daughter, Soraya. Then, in 2013, after 6 months of doing weekly news updates on technology, after suggesting WNYC cover more of the sector's burgeoning scene in New York, I was offered my dream job, hosting my own weekly radio show and podcast about the human side of technology. Running the show, which would eventually be called Note to Self, I was riding high on possibility. I had the chance to produce something meaningful and interesting about a subject essential to modern life for an intensely responsive group of listeners. This was the opportunity of a lifetime, with creative control and responsibility on a level that I had never experienced before. And if I screwed it up, might never again. At the start, I was firing on all cylinders. Surrounded by smart, insightful people, I found no shortage of fascinating stories to cover and received great feedback from the public. And then I hit a wall. Crashed is more like it. This was different than writer's block, which in the past I'd experienced as a stuck place I needed to work through. This was blankness. There was just nothing. It was bad. Part of the problem was, of course, the pressure that came with the unbelievable opportunity before me. Wanting to do the best job possible can be crippling. But there was also something else going on. My mind felt tired, worn out. Why? Yes, I was juggling motherhood, marriage, and career in one of the most hectic cities in the world, but it was more than that. In order to analyze what was going on with me, I began observing my own behavior. What I found was, frankly, exhausting. As soon as I took a moment to reflect, I realized there wasn't a single waking moment in my life that I didn't find a way to fill. And my main accomplice was my phone. I had long ago traded in my old flip phone for a smartphone, and now it seemed like I spent every spare minute on it, whether waiting for the subway or in line for coffee or at my son's preschool for pickup. I was engaged in some kind of information call and response. I checked the weather, updated Twitter, responded to emails. When I flopped into bed at the end of an exhausting day, instead of turning out the lights, I chose to fire up 2 Dots, a game I couldn't stop playing despite myself. I wasn't using my smartphone to connect. I was using it to escape. Scrolling through Twitter made my long commute disappear. Updating my calendar obsessively gave me the feeling of productivity. As my life ramped up, so had the pace and quantity of my technology consumption. My brain was always occupied, but my mind wasn't doing anything with all the information coming in. In trying to figure out when in the past my best ideas had come to me, I was reminded of my time with Kai. During those long, solitary, tech-free walks where I was cataloging the details of everything I saw around me, I also did an internal assessment of the professional skills I'd acquired over the previous 15 years. Like my meandering strolls, it wasn't a conscious accounting, but rather a winding mental trip through my career so far and how I might like to put my skills to work next. I let my mind go. It went to some dark and uncomfortable places, but it also went to some weird and wonderful ones. Looking back at that experience during this hectic period of my life, I saw a connection between a lack of stimulation, boredom, and a flourishing of creativity and drive. It was so clear to me because the cycle of technological innovation sped up at exactly the same time my life did too. Between the time my son was born and could walk, we saw mobile technology change the way people called a taxi, ordered food, found a date. Suddenly, very basic societal actions that had remained unchanged for decades were upended. And then, when the next operating system came out 6 months later, upended again. My life wasn't just pre-children and post-children. It was simultaneously pre-mobile phone, post-mobile phone. Both children and smartphones shifted me to the core. In light of all this, I asked myself, can my lack of ideas have to do with never being born?